education. Only thing that she knows about is greed. Only thing that she knows about is privatizing everything that is public. And we're sick and tired of folks privatizing stuff, because we know what happens when things become privatized. They destroy the integrity, they destroy the intellectualism, they destroy the educational process, they destroy the individualism that creates a society and keeps a society whole and strong. You see, one of the things is that we've looked at privatization all over, because what they have tried to do is not only privatize the schools on public money, but they've also have set up this whole idea of testing. Testing folks and testing folks and testing folks. And I remind everybody that just because you can pass a test doesn't mean that you have the ability to think and to reason and to be creative and to vision what a world should look like. You know, the fact is that you can make a monkey take a test, but sisters and brothers, we're not monkeys. We're creative children. We're creative parents. We're a creative community, and we're dreaming about what a society should look like. Not Trumpism, but how we open up the society to include all of the sisters and brothers, no matter where folks come from, no matter what language they speak. Nobody should feel threatened and in jeopardy. Nobody should feel hounded. But right now we're standing up clearly all across the country to what they're trying to do to us. What they're trying to do to us. But I got news for you. I'm not going one step backwards. None of us should ever go one step backwards. We fought too hard to come where we've come. And we're going forward. We're not going one step backwards. And we reminded everybody a couple Sundays ago, we called a rally and a service at Michigan Park Christian Church. And it was called Love Over Hate, a season of resistance. Because what you're standing out here today for is love over hate. And you're standing up to resist xenophobia, to resist sexism, to resist racism, to resist an exclusive culture and society, to resist the greedy over the needy, to resist and basically bring together justice, because it is up to us to fight for justice from here on in. I'm going forward, standing up for justice, standing up for real public schools and real public education. Going forward, not one step backwards, going forward until justice is won. God bless you.
So now you can see where I maintain my close connections to Reverend Hagler. The one time I invited him to a teachers union rally, we were supposed to march around Freedom Plaza peacefully. He ended up sending the teachers, over 1,000 of them, into the Wilson building, where they took over the building. The second time I attended his church at Plymouth Congregational and invited 2 friends, he had at least 15 other organizations there for Martin Luther King's birthday. Everyone is there in their mink coats, Sunday finest. They did not know at the end of the sermon we had to march up the street to Sterling Laundry and protest in 2-degree temperatures, because he believes in action, not words. Action, your deed. This is not a spectator sport, folks, anymore. We cannot be bystanders. We cannot afford to sit on the sidelines and wait for someone else to do it or make it happen. We are the change that we need to see. That's right. I want to acknowledge several local unions that are here. Unite Here 23, if you're in the house, yeah! UFCW 400. Teamsters Local 639. DC Jobs and Justice. And of course, Ask Me. All right. And last but certainly not least, the members of the Washington Teachers Union Local. Reverend Hagler's a hard act to follow, but we have 2 coming. And folks, the message is powerful. You're going to take it away, and you're going to make something happen wherever you are after today. Wherever you land tomorrow, Monday, Tuesday, and going forward. This is not a one-day event. This is a kickoff event for the next 4 years, and let's hope that is all it's going to be. All right. So without further ado, I want to introduce the president of the National Affiliate Union, the American Federation of Teachers, the organization that has basically forged a relationship with the WTU and millions of teachers union across the nation. millions of teacher union members. But one thing I must say, that a lot of the issues that teachers unions are focusing on these days are well beyond bread and butter issues because of the leadership of Randy Weingarten. Randy has basically set a tone in this nation that has taken teachers union out of that stereotypical box of being an organization to protect bad teachers. We have made tremendous strides, and it's largely due to her leadership. Without further ado, I want to give you AFT President Randy Weingarten.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
You know, the Reverend preached. I need lessons. As Liz said, and as the Reverend said, not one step backwards.
Right.
You know, like I know, that what we're going to hear tomorrow is someone who says, hopefully he'll say it, that he wants a united country. But you know, like I know, actions speak louder than words.
That's right. That's right.
And what we have seen with Donald Trump and with his nominees, including the nominee for Secretary of Education, is the most despicable con job you could have.
Yes, that's right.
People believed, many who voted for him, that he was going to create jobs for communities that had fallen behind because of deindustrialization or globalization or automation. So how then do you nominate someone for your Secretary of Labor who believes in automation, who doesn't believe in a living wage? How do you nominate someone for Treasury Secretary who had foreclosed on people's homes? How do you nominate someone for Attorney General who wouldn't pass a Republican-dominated committee 20 years ago because of his racism? How do you nominate someone for your Education Secretary who does not believe in the path for public education, that public education is the anchor of our democracy, it's a propeller of our economy? How would you do that if you actually believed in the people of America? Now, we, a month ago, said we needed to stand up for our children. Because the rhetoric, as Liz was saying, the rhetoric of this campaign was toxic. The rhetoric was divisive instead of inclusive. The rhetoric was to suppress people in order to lift others up. That is not our America. That is not the America we want. But we said a few weeks ago that we, the community of education, our parents, our clergy, our educators, that we were going to stand up strong throughout America to protect the most vulnerable. So if one of our Muslim students or their families were confronted with a registry, this Jew was going to put herself on that same registry. If one of our Latino students whose parents may be undocumented felt the fear that so many do right now about deportation, we were going to stand up and stop deportations from happening. We, the educators of our children. If our kids, whether they be black or brown or LGBTQ or white or Asian or anything, if they were confronted with bullying and hatred, we were going to stand up for our children. That's what we said when we started this day of action, the day before the inauguration. Now, we have to do all of that as our children's teachers, as our children's protectors, but we have to do more. Because as anyone who watched even a minute of that nomination hearing, by the way, can you imagine that the Republican senator from Tennessee would not allow people more than 5 minutes of questioning to question the person who is the most inexperienced, least qualified nominee for Secretary of Education ever? That they would not let them have more than 5 minutes? What are they hiding? But even in that period of time, you heard it as well as I did. It's not simply that she hates public schools, won't even commit to actually strengthening and improving public schools, won't even commit to making sure that the dollars that are supposed to go for poor kids in public schools go there. It's not just that. It's not just the giggles that people had about grizzlies in Wyoming. It's how dare someone want to be the Secretary of Education and you don't even know the law that protects students with disabilities.
Right.
How dare, and I said this to the teachers here up in the library, every teacher in front of me knows what growth means, whether we agree with it or not, or what proficiency means. How dare someone who's nominated 2 months ago for Secretary of Education doesn't even know the difference between those two things, while at the same time has been doing what the Reverend said, fixating on tests in public schools and no accountability in charters? How dare she? How dare she? My point is this, my friends. We know what we're up against. They don't know what they're up against. What they are up against is the American people who want public schooling. It's American people all across the country, including standing right here in 2,000 places around the country today, who are saying, we're standing up for our kids, we're standing up for our public schools, we're standing up for opportunity, we're standing up to make sure our kids can be joyful and have powerful learning and have the investments they need so they can dream their dreams and achieve them. That's what we're standing up for. Going to be a marathon, not a sprint. And when they can't deny the charges against us, I'm sorry, when they can't deny the charges against them, then what they will do is just demagogue us. So be prepared for the divisiveness. Be prepared for the dividing or the attempted dividing of parents versus teachers, of suburban schools versus urban schools, of rural schools versus urban schools. Be prepared for all of that. But we know that if we believe in democracy, if we believe in our children, if we believe in the hope of this country, that all starts with public education. That's right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Now, I get to introduce one of the people who stand not only with us all the time, he stands with parents, he stands with kids, he stands with educators, he stands with workers, whether they are from his own district in Minneapolis or any place where we must fight elitism, where we must fight greed, where we must fight bigotry. He stands up strong, he stands up tall, he knows how to organize, and I, for one, and excuse my politics, am really glad that he's running to be the head of the Democratic National Committee.
All right.
He knows how to organize, he knows how to fight back. Without further ado, Congressman Keith Ellison.
Yes.
Randy Weingarten, you guys, come on up. She sounds like she is ready to fight. How about you guys? You know, let me just take you back a little bit to the 1950s and 60s. Let me take you back then, because then there were a lot of public schools, and people like Betsy DeVos didn't have a problem with them. But when the Supreme Court ordered that public education had to get rid of segregation, there were certain districts around the country, including in Virginia, all over the country, that rather than integrate schools and say that black kids and white kids and brown kids can all just learn together because they're all kids, some school districts said, we're going to shut down the entire school district. We're going to use public dollars and send them to private schools, vouchers. We are going to do everything we can except educate these children who are the children of the folks who are, let's be honest, sharecropping, living in poverty many times, struggling just to make it. You know the parents who work from KC in the morning to KC at night, scrub toilets, do whatever they had to do just so that this generation, you all here today, could have a shot.
Oh, yes.
Could have a chance. I'm talking about people working hard just so their children might be able to get a good education. Because they told you that if you got a good education, then nobody can take anything from you, didn't they?
Oh, yes, he did.
And guess what? They was right.
He was right.
They were right. If you get something in your head, my grandfather used to say, get some fat on your head, boy. You know what he meant by that? Get an education. And so today, when certain leaders like Betsy DeVos want to say, oh, you know, just because we want to help the poor little children, let's take all the public school money and give it to private schools. Let's take all the public school money and voucherize it, charterize it, and all this kind of thing. No accountability, no demanding of real education quality. Make corporate money getting made hand over fist along the way. Resegregating our schools in some cases. Don't you think for a minute that this plan that they're trying to pretty up and pass on doesn't have a whole lot to do with them ugly plans back in the 50s and 60s?
That's right. That's
Because
right.
I'm gonna tell you something. If folks won't treat you right, they're not gonna teach you right. If they're not going to house you right, they're not going to treat you right. If they're not going to have a fair criminal justice system, then you can expect that there will be mistreatment in the school system too. And what I'm trying to say to you right now is this move by the Trump administration to put in a education privatizer is really not it's not that they don't like public schools. They're fine with public schools as long as people with privilege and access are getting that education. But when the great masses of Americans of all colors, black, white, Latino, Native American, Asian, everybody, all people's kids can get an education, and when the whole nation can develop their minds and develop their skills, then that's a little bit too much democracy for some people.
That's right. That's right.
They're like, you know what? Let's just leave some of them uneducated, underdeveloped, so that we can retain privilege for ourselves. What I'm telling you is that this move by the Trump administration is in line with an overall system that says, forget about the many, we're just in favor of the money. Forget about, really, they're saying we're not in favor of a broad cross-section of Americans developing themselves so that they can be everything that God blessed them to be. They're just saying, if you are born to the manor, and if you have privilege, and if you have, you know, the silver spoon, then you get to get education, but the other ones do not. Don't look at this Betsy DeVos appointment nomination in isolation. Look at it in connection with You know, the fact that they're trying to skyrocket the price of higher education and student debt, loading up on people's shoulders. They're literally trying to close off the opportunity for you to do anything but just work a job and barely be able to make enough money to get back and forth to work every day. But we don't want that America. We don't have a vision for that America. We have a vision where we develop the minds and the creativity of all our people. We believe that public education is the bedrock of democracy, because you cannot have an educated population and an oppressive government at the same time.
That's right.
You cannot have an educated population. You cannot have an educated population that knows what's going on and then still hold them people down. They know that it's a lot easier to manage you if you don't know anything. It's a whole lot easier to tell you to hate this one and tell that one to hate that other one if you don't learn anything. But if you learn that all humanity springs from a single pair, and that all of us are brothers and sisters of each other, it's a scientific fact, it's true, then it's a lot harder to look over at somebody just because their skin is darker or lighter and hate them for that. It's a lot harder to hate somebody because they don't talk the same as you or don't worship on the same day you worship on. Education makes your mind open up and broaden your perspective. And education helps people come together around their common needs. If we are educated, we know that we're better off together as opposed to fighting each other over the little crumb scraps that might fall off the table of the big guy upstairs. And I'm not talking about the Lord, y'all. I'm talking about the corporate CEO. So what I'm saying to you right now is that this fight has got to be a fight that we are ready to wage every single day. You guys are here. There are 2,000 gatherings just like this one all over the country. You are not alone. You got friends, you got backup, you got people that are with you. And I don't want y'all to think that this is just about, I want you to understand that this building and the Beer School is an intensely political place. Because what it's doing is it's giving people who historically have not had a chance, a real chance at having control over their lives. And that is always scary to the people who are in power and don't want anybody else to have any power. That is always something that will put fear into the people who want to lord all over everybody else, is when the educated people start getting something on their mind and start determining their own fate and start making their own decisions and start understanding that division and separation is nothing but weakness. We got to have unity in this moment right here, right now.
Right now.
So look, 2,000 strong all over this country. We got many rallies. And I'm telling you right now, buckle up your sneakers, because we want a whole lot more of them between now and the end of the Trump administration, which will be very soon.
All
Let me tell you this, in 2 years there's going to be another election.
That's right.
And if we take over the Congress, we can stop a lot of the other stuff that they want to do.
That's right.
And so don't disconnect the importance of public education from the ballot box. Take the ballot box and link it right to the schoolhouse, because they are linked, y'all. They are linked. And let me just tell you before I hand this mic over, we have got to understand that one of the weapons against us is distraction and deception. You saw that movie, Waiting for Superman? Don't believe for a second that the people who have dedicated all their whole life to helping our kids are not for our kids. That's propaganda and lies. Don't think for a minute that them people who take their own money out of their pocket to make sure that they get that school classroom together are not on the side of our kids. They're the best thing our kids got. Let me tell you, these folks who listen, they don't just teach our kids math, they teach our kids values. They don't just teach our kids how to read, they teach our kids character. They don't just teach our kids science, they teach our kids how to be proud and how to have confidence and how to feel good. And it's the teachers that say, have you eaten breakfast this morning? You know, some of our kids, they come to school, they maybe get to have a meal, but if the teacher is the one who puts their arm around their child and says, I love you, I care about you, and I'm gonna make sure that you not only get something in your mind, but get something in your tummy as well. These people are the ones who care about us. They're the everyday heroes, the everyday heroes. You know what a hero is? Somebody who upholds the values of our community consistently. A hero is not a sports figure, although Muhammad Ali was one. Right? A hero is somebody who takes the best of us and lifts it up and lives by it, even if it costs them. If a teacher is not a hero, there ain't no such thing as a hero, y'all. These teachers are heroes. So I just want to say to you, there might be some difficult days ahead, but if we stick together, we will win. If we insist on our common humanity and we hold together, we will win. Y'all ready to win?
Yeah! Thank you, Congressman. Thank you. And folks, for those of you right here in D.C., you know what the trend has been around for teachers, especially the most experienced teachers in our city and our schools. The trend of starving, punishing, sorting, and closing. Basically, that is the new template for the DeVos Trump administration. But we're going to call an end to that. There is a silver lining in everything. I see opportunity in everything. And what is the opportunity if you can find any in the election of Donald Trump? This is the opportunity. Mobilization of people, because when you are pissed off enough, folks, you stand up. When your back is against the wall and you've had enough and you're not taking any more, this is what we get. Trump administration is going to bring back to life the civil disobedience that we need to send messages to our elected officials that the people rule, not elected officers. We are the voice. We're claiming our voice and our power, our capacity, and I applaud you for being here today. At this time, I want to recognize two other individuals that have joined this group. Director of the Central Labor Council, just wave in the back there, Carlos Jimenez. And of course, we also have from the Coalition of Black Trade Unionists, Thomas Blanton. Thank you. And now for a photo op to close this out, because nobody will believe that you were here unless we have evidence. I want you to grab somebody's hand and you're going to form a chain straight down the street, around the corner, for several photographs. At the end of that, we are finished for today. Thank you, but rest assured, we are not finished with what we have started here today. This is simply the beginning of ongoing events, activities, and actions that we will take to reclaim our schools and our power and our voices. Thank you for coming today.